Those who volunteer in our communities come in all ages and from all walks of life. From ringing bells to packing food. Volunteers are critically important in any community.
We recognize that the only way a community can be healthy is with a strong set of volunteers who step up to fill the gaps that are not filled by business or by government.
The Jefferson Awards is a national program that recognizes and honors volunteers across the country who have made a difference in their communities. News 6 is looking for Northlanders who deserve to be among those extraordinary volunteers.
There are some people in this room that have had over 60 years of volunteer time.
News 6 is seeking nominations from the entire Northland. If you know someone who you feel deserves special recognition in your community, let us know.
We have a panel set up who will evaluate those nominations and choose from the nominees 6 individuals to receive the Regional Jefferson Award.
You can make your nominations online at news6.tv, or you can send your recommendations to us here at the station. 6 regional winners will be selected. Their names will then be submitted for a chance to win a National Jefferson Award and be honored on national television. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
I'm proud to offer my enthusiastic endorsement for him as president. All right.
Eloquent, but I want you to hear the general himself. Let me just say this.
I think it's offensive to us in this debate. I still support you. I know, but it's really offensive. Thank you very much.
You're going to stop at somebody's head in Minnesota. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Hi. Thank you. Well, you got one that like a trooper. I'm telling you. This way, sir.
Well, a 60-year-old ship, I have to say that the taxpayers got their bang for their buck with this ship and with this class. There are a lot of old systems, and we're just not as efficient as some of the newer ships are.
To the 5, touchdown!
Often when they get together, it's not under the best of terms.
Randy Moss, touchdown!
But there comes a time when even the most devoted fans say Wisconsin and Minnesota should work together.
Jim's a Packer fan and I'm a Viking fan.
I really believe that for all of the Viking Packer stuff, Minnesota and Wisconsin's future are very, very interdependent.
Mayor Bergson is crossing the bridge and the rivalry that divides Duluth and Superior to acknowledge they can play on the same team.
Instead of trying to outbid one another on projects, let's work together for common goals.
Wisconsin Governor Jim Doyle held a town hall meeting in Superior. Bergson came to personally ask for his support on a Twin Ports partnership.
And we'll ask this question of Governor Plenty in 2 weeks when we're down there for Duluth Days in St. Paul. Can the state of Wisconsin pledge?
Bergson received Doyle's support, and he already has the backing from Superior Mayor David Ross. They plan to focus first on economic development.
When someone comes to shop an area, we're hoping to sit down with them as a region and say, this is what we can offer you, rather than having them run around and try to strike the best deal with the best municipality.
Second, Duluth and Superior will together fight financial crimes. Superior has already created an identity theft task force, and Bergson says a Duluth officer will be joining soon. It's an area Governor Doyle has experience.
We're going to ask that he be involved in some initiatives to put the two states together, the two communities of Duluth and Superior together, and we can be first of a kind in the nation as far as dealing with identity theft across state borders like that.
It was a brief meeting, but another step in bridging two communities together.
Far, Amon Green, touchdown!
No matter whose turf they're on. Stacey Eckes, News 6.
I'm not saying I'm quoting statewide, the stronger that representation will be to all.
Physical education and health education teach the framework from where most of us will make our choices for the future. If you're going to have a snack, are you going to have the apple or the bag of M&Ms?
Do you want to say anything, Lauren, about it? There was...
And it's very exciting. Brandon's had a large group with the discussion. I don't believe that either of those sites had elected officials.
So I'm telling you, if you get a real lot of stuff coming in from you people, and like I said, you don't have to contact us. You don't have to waste your time on the Northern Minnesota legislators, but you definitely want to hit all of the education committee members.
Physical education and health education teach the framework from where most of us will make our choices for the future. If you're going to have a snack, are you going to have the apple or the bag of M&Ms?
Do you want to say anything, Lauren, about it?
There, strap him off.
They topped it off, attached a flag that had flown over the nation's capital, then lifted the cupola to the highest tower of the palace. It was close to being done. Folks might remember driving by the Ice Palace on Harriet Island 12 years ago and taking pictures from their cars. Not here. Too much traffic. As a matter of fact, 7th Street will be closed between XL Energy Center and the Ice Palace. The right 2 lanes of 5th Street will be used as drop-off and pickup lanes, but drivers will be encouraged to move on quickly.
It's not a drive-by palace. It's really something that you want to come in and touch and feel and experience.
Yeah, pull over to the side over here.
Ice Palace Operations Director Shannon Pierce said as many as 33 police officers will patrol the Ice Palace grounds. She said there will be paramedics on the grounds at all times. You see, folks will be able to walk through the palace. There will be entertainment on a stage inside. They're expecting to host 1 million people. to celebrate winter.
Everybody in the United States thinks we're frozen tundra 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It isn't that way, but let them think that, and let them come up here and see our frozen tundra. This is the most marvelous thing. It's another wonder of the world.
It is, kinda. For 18 days in the dead of winter, another wonder of the world.
They're willing to relocate or whatever they're willing, right? And a coordinator for the center, and hopefully a strategic plan. It's kind of a one-stop shop for women who are being battered, so that they don't have 30 different organizations they have to go to get the help and services for themselves and their children. Whether or not that's going to be a reality, we don't know. Of course, when we hired Timberland and got all their furniture donated for this center, so they're willing to commit, they're willing to relocate or whatever they're willing to do as part of this effort. Because the grant building, right, and a coordinator for the center, and hopefully a strategic planner and fundraiser, because on
Thursday marked the coldest it's been in 5 years in Duluth as temperatures dipped to 22 below. And while the cold weather has been good news for snowmobilers and ice anglers, even native Northlanders are feeling the pain.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty cold. I know this morning my car, the ignition froze open, so we certainly got the cold weather, but we're waiting for it to warm up.
The freezing temperatures have people across the Northland trying to keep warm, but not everyone can stay inside.
It's not too fun working out here, but I have to do it, make money.
Even News 6's own Stacy Eckes, who was gathering news for our viewers in challenging conditions last night, experienced firsthand just how quickly frostbite can occur.
Well, it happened really fast. I only went outside just a few minutes before our live report, and when I was giving the live report, I couldn't even feel the frostbite starting on my face.
Doctors say many people don't feel the frostbite because the exposed skin becomes numb. The sub-zero temperatures have everyone longing for spring.
67 days till April.
You're counting the days till April.
Always do this time of year.
This has been the first year in a couple of years where we've had any snow. So up to last weekend where we had good snow, they had pretty near 1,000 people in the park last weekend. And the majority use this cross-country skiing.
Went out for about an hour and a half and taught people how to snowshoe. We found tracks out in the snow, and I learned a little bit about what the animals are doing right now.
When Mike left his mom and 7 brothers and sisters in Minneapolis 10 months ago, it was his last chance to turn his life around. A judge ordered him to Woodland Hills in Duluth after years of problems with drugs, violence, and family.
I just started going with my cousins, hanging out on the streets, you know, doing what they was doing, like selling drugs and stuff.
Mike knew this was an opportunity to change the direction of his life.
The path that I chose to walk, you know, I mean, the way I went about my problems, you know, I had a lot of problems throughout my childhood.
His childhood and old life behind him, Mike now lives with a group of teenage boys at Woodland Hills. They're called the Pioneers, and they serve as one another's family, friends, and support system. All the activities they participate in teach responsibility and give them new life experiences.
Camping, I never tried that in my whole entire life. To this day, I'm still scared of animals and stuff, you know. But in here, you know, the staff, they'll joke around with me, get me comfortable with doing it, you know. And I actually start camping and stuff.
And while camping, part-time jobs, and caring for animals are unusual forms of therapy, counselors have added a new twist. The Pink Floyd, salsa, and house music that pound through the studios at the American National Ballet Company may not be considered typical ballet music, but it's appropriate because the boys who move to it aren't typical ballet dancers. Armando Maldonado has been teaching the Pioneers Ballet for about 5 months now. He says the classes are improving the boys' minds as well as their bodies.
What this program is trying to do is help them develop a more creative sense of dealing with issues instead of resorting to former ways and methods of dealing with their anger and frustrations, and it gives them a creative outlet for that.
Besides learning about pliés and pirouettes, the Pioneers have discovered self-esteem and creative expression.
It was one of the nice things about seeing how this program affects these boys that aren't able to verbalize themselves expressively, but they do it through movement, and through movement they learn to slowly verbalize how they feel.
Mike says ballet has allowed him to open up about his past and confront his reasons for being at Woodland Hills.
I just came from a home visit and I talked to my mom about it, and it like healed a wound in my heart that had a hole in it.
He says dance has led to all kinds of new goals, from improving his basketball game to making his future career decisions.
Ballet in Woodland Hills, period, you know, basically shining light, and I'm chasing after it now. You know, open up my eyes and see a goal. I don't have tunnel vision no more. Helped me out a lot.
And it will continue to help Mike when he heads back into the community at the end of the summer. In Duluth, Mariah Craven, News 6.
The older you get, you know, the more changes you'll find, you know. So to take and change the laws, I think they're on the right step. It can be a pain in the butt, but if it helps keep the roads safer, I'm all for it.
It operates on the concept of making new clothing items and accessories using carries books, games, comics, and
39 3 weeks ago, and so next year,
A lot of us, you know, just sort of worry about our own little individual lives, and I'm just always impressed with these people who go above and beyond to try and make Duluth a better place.
It's a great honor to receive this.
most amazing things about our community is we have so many services available, but I think when you're looking for something in particular that maybe you've never had to utilize before, such as going to a food shelf or needing fuel assistance if you've been laid off, you need some type of help, if you've never had to think about it before, it's really hard to know where to start.
Officer, and he continued to go. I was eyeball to eyeball with him right in the window here, and he would not stop.
A security camera on top of the Cloquet Walmart caught all the action as Detective Darren Berg tried to open the suspect's car door, but he soon found himself holding on for dear life.
As far as the speed he was going, and whether or not I was going to get sucked under the car, get run over, or whether somebody an oncoming car would get me.
You can see from this surveillance tape, as Detective Berg was being dragged, his partner was following close behind. He says he knew he had to act fast.
I made contact with the passenger side of the suspect vehicle, and with enough impact to knock Detective Berg, my partner, off of the vehicle from the other side.
And after Detective Berg was thrown from the car, the suspect didn't get very far before running into a dumpster at this liquor and gas station, where the officers were able to make the arrest.
There's 2 pounds of marijuana in the vehicle, so he was doing all that he could do to get away from law enforcement at that point. It was just a brief struggle, after which he was handcuffed and taken into custody.
The detectives say this sort of bust is usually routine. They make 3 to 4 of them every week here in Cloquet.
Within the last couple of years, a lot of our efforts have been toward the drug problem, because usually the drug problem is responsible for a lot of our other crimes.
And although this arrest took a definite turn for the worst, Detective Berg walked away without a scratch. And as far as his dangerous job goes, he hasn't missed a beat.
This does not hinder in any way my outlook on this job. So, just go and do it. Do what you got to do.
In Cloquet, Edward Moody, News 6.
We invite people from all over to come. We have people from Twin Cities who come. We have people from Ely who come. A lot of people take Friday off from work so that they can come right away to get the first pick at the books.
What is intermediate age?
Oh, you charge it by the bag?
Yeah, $1 a bag. At the end, at the very end, $1 for anything that will fit inside a bag.
Oh, so you sell them?
Yeah, they've reconfigured our grade school. Looking totally no reader's digest.
We're having to have Red Cross put them up. Have not heard nothing back yet, but I'm asking the community to come to our aid and help replace some of the belongings for our family.
nothing much matters if you don't feel safe. The disappearance of Drew Shadeen is the latest mile marker along a trail of tragedy that has been traveled far too often. Those tragedies threaten to undermine our sense of safety. In order to maintain Minnesota nice for everybody, we need to get Minnesota tough on criminals.
It's a beautiful day, so we thought we'd come and finally see them now that they're done.
For Bob and Carol Muka, there's no better way to spend a day than strolling through the endless rows of sculptured snow that are nestled in Ely this week.
I like that one. And the mouse and cheese one, the holy cheese ones were cute.
The frozen artistry is part of the Voyagers Winter Carnival. And along with snowshoe races and an exhibit by Jim Brandenburg, organizers are happy that Old Man Winter is cooperating.
It's been marvelous for us. We've had lots of snow, lots of visitors. The activities were well attended, and it's been a great week.
And they also know that once someone has experienced this carved out part of the world, they'll be back.
A lot of folks have come up snowmobiling for the rallies and then stayed to see some of the festivities. And then they come and experience it in the summer again because they've had such a good time in the winter.
Jeremy Meyer, News 6.
Wisconsin, you have the power to keep the debate alive. You have the power to choose the strongest candidate to beat George W. Bush. You have a real choice, Wisconsin. I want to hear Wisconsin's voice for a real change in America.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for coming to us. No, I don't know where. Thanks very much. Okay.
He's already got it? Okay, great.
Nice to meet you. Certainly.
Can I have your autograph?
Well.
Pull on that jersey. You represent yourself and your teammates.
Disney's newest movie, Miracle, opened this weekend to big numbers at the box office, coming in at number 2. The true story of the 1980 Olympic hockey team grossed $19.4 million. But it's not just bringing the big bucks to Hollywood. One company right here in the Northland is also profiting from the film.
It's been going tremendous right now.
For about 6 years, K1 Sportswear in Cloquet has had the only license to make replicas of the jerseys worn by the 1980 Miracle on Ice team.
Getting up to 300 jerseys a day from different dealers throughout the country and into Canada now as well.
And as ticket sales for the movie grow, so do orders for the bright red, white, and blue jerseys.
haven't had a ton of action on them up until this movie came out. Now we're getting orders all over the country, and it's been going really, really good.
While the film is regarded as being very accurate, Ketela says the jerseys currently being made by K1 are even more authentic than those worn in the film.
If you look at the jerseys, they're not exactly right, so that's not our work. The stripe pattern's a little different, the color, and it's close. Most people wouldn't know, but when you're in the business, you pick stuff up like that.
And now K1 is riding the wave of popularity. Every shirt is cut and sewn in the factory, and each of these workers knocks out a finished product every 12.5 minutes.
We're actually delivering faster than what we tell people. Our girls are quick. They're good at what they do.
And they'll have to be quick to keep up with the demand for a piece of Olympic history. In Cloquet, Mariah Craven, News 6.
I think I deleted all of them, but.
I think it's the future of campaigns, actually. I think it's cheaper. You pay a domain, you have a webmaster that takes care of your website, and it beats out all the printed literature. You don't have to make the expensive telephone calls. You can pull up, you can download a policy brief.
I will edit it for you. I will use one shot of that shark.
With only 5 candidates left, less bickering this time, more criticism aimed at the president.
Every one of us up here has an approach that is vastly better than George Bush's, because George Bush has no approach.
John Kerry hopes to lock up the nomination, but the spotlight was on Howard Dean, fighting off rumors he'll exit the race if he loses tomorrow.
I think Senator Kerry is a fine person, and if he wins the nomination, I'm going to support him, but I intend to win the nomination.
Dean didn't attack Kerry as some thought he might, but John Edwards took more jabs than usual at the frontrunner.
That's the longest answer I ever heard to a yes or no question.
Objecting to the notion that Kerry is a shoo-in.
Senator Kerry just said he will beat George Bush. Not so fast, John Kerry.
And as usual, Al Sharpton provided the hottest rhetoric, alleging that when it came to weapons of mass destruction, the president lied.
Why do people lie? Because they're liars. He lied in Florida. He's lied several times. I believe he lied in Iraq.
And Reverend, you'll recognize.
That anybody who either cares who the Democratic nominee is going to be or who cares about the future of the Democratic Party should vote in this primary. This really is the chance for voters to decide who the Democratic nominee will be, and it's a chance for Democrats to decide the kind of party they want their party to be.
I was kind of watching for that.
Okay. When you said James LaRue, I thought, well, I wonder if the kids were home for funeral. I never noticed him there. Okay.
When you take a step back and look at it, it's kind of, you know, honoring to bring it to Duluth. You see all those Red Bull competitions on TV, they're all in Europe and, you know, all over the world, and to have a huge event like this brought to Duluth, it's awesome. You know?
They all have their cards now? Yep, they all have cards.
Well, it snowed, so we had to brush our guys off and kind of resituate them again. I am very confident we're going to win.
Mixing drinks. So come on over, get the best flavored mixes and a little bit of show with every drink. So come on over and say hi.
Russ Stover is known for his role as a Duluth City Councilor. He's currently serving his second term, but it isn't his political beliefs that are getting attention this week.
It's pretty bad.
Instead, Stover is telling the tale of his van and home catching on fire.
As I pulled in the driveway, I backed up to get the van to where I wanted to park it, and I got it stuck.
Eventually, the vehicle overheated. Stover saw flames and black smoke. Unable to reach his wheelchair, he crawled out of the cargo door and dialed 911 on his cell phone.
Councilor Stover says the fire spread quickly. It began right there underneath the dashboard, and before he knew it, about 3 minutes later, the entire vehicle was engulfed in flames.
I was worried about the house.
It was a valid concern. The tall blaze had begun to burn part of Stover's porch. Fear shot through the city councilor because 20 years ago to the month, his previous home had burned to the ground. All he could think were
bad things. Bad things.
Stover managed to put out most of the fire with a hose and wasn't hurt. A day after, only a small part of the porch bears the scar of a fire. But the van is a complete loss. So are the $500 hand controls Stover uses to drive. Only the shell remains. The lights now a bundle of charred wire and the seats a pile of soot.
But despite the loss, this counselor has no bitter feelings.
Things happen. Everything's okay. I have a vehicle, and I have another wheelchair, and the cat and dog are fine.
And with that said, Stover says it's back to work and normal life, where this city councilor may have a heated encounter of a different kind. In Duluth, Royal Day, News 6.
I think the three of us are wanting to take action. I think that's why we were elected. The past school board didn't make actions quickly, and although we're new, we'd like to get up to speed quickly so that we can make decisions, good decisions.
And for anybody who's wondering, what would you tell people who are asking when would that decision be made? I mean, do you have any
I have no idea. No idea when decisions will be made.
When you live in a small town, everybody would like it to be somebody from, some really bad guy from the coast who came in, did this terrible thing and left. And the reality is that, maybe it's not that.
Patty Wetterling now has to come to grips with the idea that a neighbor or former neighbor might be the man who took her son Jacob 14 years ago, while he, his brother, and a friend rode their bikes down this country road in St. Joseph. Reports of a particular car at the scene have now been discounted.
That car, the car that turned around in the driveway really quick and left, has been located, and that particular person did not take Jacob.
But she is not convinced that the abductor must therefore have been on foot. Still, Stearns County investigators are shifting their focus to more local suspects, and Patty Wetterling does not blame police for concentrating elsewhere earlier.
So I don't have a sense that they blew it, and now, duh. I don't think that's it. I think it's just a time to pull back the wagons and let's look tighter.
There's been some talk of DNA evidence lately, Patty, but is there anything to compare DNA evidence to if you have a suspect?
That I don't know.
The Wetterlings, Patty and Jerry, say there have been other moments in the case like this. They just haven't been so public. She calls the shift of focus significant, but she is not convinced that it rules anyone in or out as a suspect.
It's not been my goal to get even or to string somebody up. I really don't care. I really don't care about the person who did this. I need to know. I need my son. I'll let the rest of the world take care of who did this. But they are linked. And you can't typically find one without the other. So.
After being locked up for 12 years, Marjorie Caldwell Hagan last month finally shed her prison clothes, ducking into a john behind a locked prison gate. Since 1992, Marjorie served time at a prison outside of Phoenix.
That's her coach.
It was this fire in Ajo, Arizona that landed Marjorie behind bars. In the early 90s, there was a string of more than 30 suspicious fires. This fire at a business where Marge's RV was being repaired.
Marge Hagan's coach exploded. Just the windows blew out.
Investigators would later determine Marjorie set the blaze. Motive? She needed money. She filed an insurance claim on the gutted RV. Marjorie had grown up in big money on the shores of Lake Superior at the Glensheen Mansion. She was adopted by Elizabeth Congdon, heir to an Iron Range mining fortune, a life few could imagine.
They didn't shop normally like you and I might. Things were brought in big boxes with satin ribbons. When she was first allowed for the first time to walk to school, the limousine followed her with bodyguards in it.
Marjorie has been a millionaire time and again thanks to her inheritance, yet there never seemed to be enough money. Marjorie became a household name in Minnesota in 1977 when her adoptive mother and night nurse at the mansion were murdered. Marjorie's second husband, Roger Caldwell, was convicted, but the prosecutor was convinced Marjorie was the brains behind the killings.
It was to speed up Marjorie's inheritance. I mean, they were deeply in debt. At the time, they had overspent their means as she had for years.
It was Minnesota's trial of the century. While many defendants may cuss prosecutors, Marjorie always seemed to want to chat with him. One day, even baked a birthday cake for her lawyer, Ron Meschbesher, and wanted all to eat her cake.
And I said, there's no way I'm having, anything that's baked by Marjorie. And she said outright, don't worry, John, there's no marmalade in it. And that was kind of chilling in itself.
Chilling because a couple of years before the murders here, Elizabeth Conglin became severely ill following a visit from Marjorie, who fed her mother marmalade sandwiches, which her nurses suspected were laced with poison. Her mother did recover. Fearing bad publicity, the family didn't report the incident to authorities. It came to light after the murders. Following a 4-month trial, Marjorie was found not guilty of all charges. Some of the jurors befriended her for some years to come.
And it was disconcerting to see actually jurors come out of the jury box after the not guilty verdicts and actually hug her.
John DeSanto, who prosecuted Caldwell, has co-authored Will to Murder. During Marjorie's murder trial, a couple she had known for years, Wally and Helen Hagen, were in court daily to support her. After the trial, with Marjorie's husband Roger locked up, she began seeing Wally. Wally's wife, Helen, ended up in this Mound nursing home.
My mom had Alzheimer's. She was bedridden. That's why she was in the nursing home.
While described as being in good physical condition, suddenly Helen slipped into a coma hours after a surprise visit from Marjorie. 4 days later, Helen died. It would later be learned Marjorie brought food to the nursing home in baby jars and fed her during that visit. Since no one knew about the earlier marmalade incident, toxicology tests were never done. Official cause of Helen's death, pneumonia brought on by dehydration. Just 4 months later, Wally and Marjorie married, although Marjorie hadn't been divorced from Roger. While Marjorie was about to inherit more than $3 million, some of her children sued, so money was tight again. Then, within a year, the Hagen's Mound home burned. After collecting insurance money, she was arrested for arson and fraud and was convicted. She went off to the Shakopee Women's Prison for 2 years. Here she was well-liked, even sent flowers weekly to the warden.
She could charm the socks off a snake, I guess.
Well, while she came off to many as sweet and caring, others saw another side.
And when she goes off, it's totally out of control. I mean, it's like a maniac. It's like somebody that you cannot imagine this kind of rage.
From the mid-'80s on, Tom Hagen and his siblings were isolated from their father Wally, as they say Marge manipulated him first into marriage, then they moved to Arizona. Ironically, Ajo, where the Hagens settled, got its start from Marge's grandfather, Chester Congdon, who came here a century ago in the early 1900s and began copper mining. Marge, as she was known to most here, soon became involved in several churches and clubs.
She's a good friend of mine.
When I met Marge Hagen, the hair on the back of my neck stand stood up.
But businessman Bud Kleinfelder says Marge bounced tens of thousands of dollars in checks all across this desert town.
And if there's a fire...
In 1990, the fire beepers were busy. There were a string of blazes in Ajo. The last of the suspicious fires occurred not at Marjorie's home, but next door. The occupant came home and saw Marge stirring in the backyard, where she was accused of planting on this windowsill kerosene-soaked rags. He called police. They slipped into his home, and they waited with flash cameras. Then came Marge.
And they just observed her doing it. Unfortunately, when they took the picture, the glass obscured the picture, so they didn't have that part of the evidence.
But they chased her down, and she was arrested and convicted. But before serving her time, a judge gave her 24 hours to get her affairs in order. She returned home, and the next day she called Wally's son back in Minneapolis to say his father had died.
There was different variations on how he died. And I asked, well, where's the body now? Well, he's here. It was still in the house. I said, well, Marge, you have to call the police. Well, can't the undertaker just come pick him up? I said, no.
At first, Marjorie was charged with Wally's murder, but the charge was later dropped. The two wrote a suicide pact, so investigators couldn't discount Wally himself taking an overdose of drugs that claimed his life. Marjorie says at the last minute she backed out. So now, 12 years later, Marge begins over again. When she left prison, her personal effects could be carried in just a couple of boxes. But she was believed to have waiting for her nearly $1.5 million in inheritance from the Congdon fortune. While she may have money again, she apparently has few friends or relatives ready to help. This day, it was a hired limo driver who met her outside the prison gates. A couple of years ago, she told parole board members she planned to move into this adult gated community on the outskirts of Tucson. Her attorney claims she had a lot and was putting a home here, but it's still vacant, and it appears she's settling elsewhere. Just fine by the neighbors.
I guess I'd keep the fire department alerted.
Marjorie refused to talk to us. She hid under a briefcase when we approached her car. She likely chose Tucson because it's where she has fond memories as a child. And while at 71 years old, she's well into her retirement years. A grown child of her last husband says at 90, she could still be an evil woman. And he believes it's only a matter of time before Marjorie and the law meet again.
The response has been tremendous. I don't think we could even have imagined how excited the audience is and what a wonderful rapport the show, the models, and the audience have had together.
Who knows Sven Sundgaard? Clap if you know Sven.
I'm real confident that we're not that far apart. I think that, you know, from the perspective of, you know, taking anything away, we're really not. We don't have a proposal on the table. We're reacting to what the union's proposal is, and I think that we're comfortable with a contract being extended for at least 2 years.
We're with the John Edwards for President campaign.
It's the day before Super Tuesday. And Trevor Zellman and Sarah Bauer hit the streets.
Have you decided on a candidate?
I'm sympathetic to Edwards.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Touting their presidential hopeful.
We just really believe in him. He's a good man.
But even more important, getting Duluthians to take part in this political process.
By showing up, you do make your voice heard.
As those work to spread their message right here on the streets of Duluth, there are others who are taking their message inside.
Hi, Pierre. Hi, this is Steve at John Kerry's campaign. How are you?
A group of volunteers spent the evening calling residents, hoping to snag some support.
I was calling to see if we could count on you to vote for John Kerry at your caucus tomorrow night.
Because he's the candidate who can take on George Bush and win back the White House for the Democrats.
At UMD in the Kirby Student Center, a Dennis Kucinich table was set up for those wanting to know more about the congressman and the caucus.
There isn't usually a large turnout, so what they vote on and what they say there really has a large effect on what happens as opposed to like a general election.
People feel like, you know, sometimes my vote's wasted.
The Independence Party is also inviting people to join its caucus. Attendees will also help choose a party mascot.
And I think it'll help give us all a little bit of pride, and really it'll make politics a little bit more fun.
For Republicans, their candidate is a given.
I really believe that he has a vision for the United States.
Though Justin Crick reminds Republican voters that the platform for the presidential election still needs to be fine-tuned.
Individual people are going to have the opportunity to submit resolutions at the precinct level.
From those working the phones to those hitting the pavement, Northland political volunteers invite everyone to caucus on Tuesday. In Duluth, Royal Day, News 6.
As soon as the flight left at 7:45 this morning, they're out here with drills and ladders and removing pretty much any sign that the airline was here.
This was the scene Saturday night along Duluth's central entrance. Officers armed and ready surrounding the warehouse liquor store.
Police say it all started when 24-year-old James T-Bolt Jr. walked in and approached the female clerk. According to the complaint, he demanded she give all of her money to him or he was going to kill her. He claimed he had a gun and he would shoot both of the employees if they did not follow his orders. Police report the two clerks inside were both injured after getting hit over the head with liquor bottles. After getting cash from the register, they say the suspect was upset there wasn't more money or a safe. That's when he said he was going to have his way with her, referring to the 21-year-old female clerk. He threatened to rape her in front of the 47-year-old male clerk. The complaint says T-Bolt tore her shirt and skirt and took down some of her clothing. It states both employees were terrified.
Just as we set forth in the complaint, they were extremely terrorized at what this man allegedly did.
Police say the female escaped after her co-worker put up a fight with the suspect. The shattered glass is where the suspect forced himself out through a locked door.
Turn side. Turn side.
I still will do it because I always feel that you never know when it's going to be me. And I'm always willing to help out to make things better. And as long as people ask me to come, I'll be here.
Yes, motorsport.
Couple heats. First one didn't do so well, but the second one I got a second, and we're just going up from there.
Track got a little icy. They had to bring out the heavy equipment and break it up a little bit, but it's holding up pretty good. I got plenty of snow, so it helped. It's been real cold the last couple of years, so this has been really a good day for it today. Tomorrow's supposed to be just as good.
Barking in anticipation of the journey ahead, these sled dogs and their owners share the thrill of the race.
And at a glance, you wouldn't know that one of these teams does not spend the entire season together.
I live within the city limits of Duluth, and so I can't have a kennel of 20, 30 sled dogs.
For the past 3 years, Duluth musher Jason Rice has raced the Bear Grease with leased dogs.
After the race season is done, I give them back to their real mom and dad, and I'm just surrogate dad for the racing season.
Jason leases the team, harnesses, and sled for several $1,000s a year. And while the cost is high, he believes he has it easier than mushers who own their dogs.
I don't have to feed these dogs all year long.
Jason says though he did not raise his team from pups, as many of these mushers have done, through training, he has managed to build a strong bond.
They know my style, I know their style. They're like people.
He usually steps in to run these dogs around December, and like any other musher, he says his primary concern is their health.
You've got to watch their muscles, their shoulders. Going down the hills is real rough on their shoulders.
Here at the Bear Grease, marathoners like Jason get on-site help from veterinarians to make sure their dogs are in tip-top shape.
As we check the joints, the heart, the lungs, everything, making sure that they are in good condition to go out on the trail.
Vets say the most common injury is a split paw from running on snow, and that's why they tell mushers to equip each dog with booties. It's one of many precautions Jason Rice takes for his temporary team.
If you keep your dogs healthy, your team is going to be happy, and happy dogs run fast.
And Jason says while he's the only one in this race who leases his dogs, it's common in bigger races like the Iditarod, where some mushers can spend $50,000 to $100,000 just for the dogs. Reporting from the John Bear Grease Marathon in Duluth, Edward Moody, News 6.
It's a beautiful area. The snow-covered fields roll for miles with few signs of habitation.
This is the most beautiful, pristine land that you could ever want.
But in the midst of this pristine scene is a large garbage dump, and the owners, Allied Waste of Chicago, want to double its size.
We're running out. We've got probably 2 years of capacity remaining.
By far the greatest percentage of the garbage in this landfill comes from Duluth.
When the landfill and dealing with our trash is so far away from people, they just become so disassociated with taking responsibility.
Those who live near the dump site want to block the